So, Watchtower is out showing their true colors again, and this time it is over a very serious case. Watchtower settled recently uh, in New York, I believe. This is the New York State Unified Court System, and this is Kings County Supreme Court. So, that's where this document comes from, and this is something that I have wondered what they were going to do about for a while because I've known about it for a while. There's just like, believe it or not, when I was a kid, this story reached my ears. I actually remember hearing about this story while I was in the Jehovah's Witnesses. And there was no outcome for years because Watchtower keeps appealing everything that happens to them. So let me make sure that I have the right one because I believe that I do. I'm just trying to look for resident of state of Texas. This complaint is brought pursuit to the Child Victims Act, which provides right of action for victims of childhood sexual abuse that would otherwise be time barred. So, what this is saying is basically these actions are not barred by statutes of limitations, which is important. Um, and there's so many in Watchtower that have suffered this abuse. So many, and so many have been silenced and shut out. And this is one of the victims. And I believe this went on during the 80s. And it gets pretty gruesome. So just trigger warning now. Before I go into anything else, it will get gruesome. So I'm just gonna basically read as much of this as I can because I don't really know how to analyze this yet. So defendant Watchtower in Tract Society of New York was and is a nonprofit religious corporation organized and existing under the virtue of the law of the state of New York. Boy, I wish the state of New York would do an investigation on their headquarters. Um, at the time of the acts giving rise to case of action alleged in this complaint, I'm reading this way because it's really hard for me to see actually. Like a screen is, it's just how my screen is. So basically, uh, at all the and this is for at all the time of giving rise for the causes of alleged in this complaint, Watchtower principal office and place of business in County King State of New York during all relevant hereto Watchtower certificate of incorporation listed Kings County as its principal place of business. So during all times relevant hereto, Watchtower's certificate of incorporation. Corporation, yeah. Okay, let's see. The acts of omission from the bias of the complaint took place in the state of New York. The defendant, governed by Jehovah's Witnesses, and this person sued like each of them individually, which is good. Because this needs to be brought, and it has been brought to light in current time. Watchtower settled on these, so let's see. On this one, there's another one that they settled on also that had to do with CSA that they've been denying is a rampant issue in their place of worship. Upon information and belief, the coordinator of government body wrote on the year's bias in alphabetical order. So yearly basis in alphabetical order. So yeah, it goes to name them. Kenneth Cook, Samuel Frederick Herb Jr., Jeffrey William Jackson, Mark Stephen Lett, Garrett Loesch, Anthony Morris III, he is now removed, D. Mark Sanderson, and David Splain. So the ones that I know the most is this guy, and this guy. Not that that matters to anything, but that's the ones that I've read about the most. Upon information and belief in current coordinator of governing body as of October 1st, 2019. Yeah, so this was all done during this time, and so they are all being sued, and the reason why they're being sued is, hold on, where does it give the example at, or did I already pass it? I don't think I passed it yet. I'm sorry, not the example, the case. Yeah, I've already read that though. So defendants, those 1 through 10 persons or persons or entities with responsible for plaintiff's safety, supervision, or placement in foster care who have not to date been identified. Plaintiff has made a diligent effort to identify these defendants prior to the filing of the complaint and has been unable to do so. So this is another reason why cases fell in the courts, or why Watchtower is able to wiggle their way out of it, is because for so many years it comes up as the victim, who was a child during their time in becoming the victim, has lost sight of their attacker, right? So, and this is how Watchtower hides these people. So this, like it says, defendant does 1 through 10 are persons or entities with responsible for plaintiff's safety, supervision, placement, and foster care, because during this time, she was a, I believe it's a she, she was a child. And when you have to go to Bethel and work, you have to basically, because this is something that took place in Bethel, I believe, you basically have to have a place to put your child. I would imagine you can't have your child there with you while you work. So, of course, they need a foster care. And everything in Bethel has to be done through Jehovah. And this is something really nasty that happened at Bethel. Plaintiff has made a diligent effort to identify these defendants prior to the filing of this complaint and has been unable to do so. So I guess that's why they went after the governing body, because these acts, these sexual acts that happen to children, happen under the guidance of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. Even though, no matter how much they try to say, oh, back in the 80s or back in the day, we didn't have control over the congregations. People just gathered and worshiped because they wanted to. No, they didn't. They gathered and worshiped because you sent out literature and got them all in one place with these ridiculous prophecies and announcements that were to come, that never did, actually. So let's see here. Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, hereinafter CCJW, was and is not for-profit religious corporation organized and existing under the virtue of laws in the state of New York. I just have to do a deep sigh on that one. Because of how much money they rake in, man. Okay, so, and I'm not trying to say these things to like skew like what went on during the trial, or how how horrendous the trial or the actions leading to the trial were. They were pretty gruesome. So it just gives the background of the organization structure of Jehovah's Witness is a heretical, or sorry, high hierarchical. There we go. And all these, all at all times relevant. The world headquarters for Jehovah's Witnesses was located in Brooklyn. Actually, no, it's Bethel. Yep. Under information and belief, all members who lived and worked at Bethel were authorized by the governing body and Watchtower to serve and work at Bethel. Upon information and belief, governing body and Watchtower had the ability to control the day-to-day lives of those serving at Bethel, including directing room assignments and living and sleeping. I mean, yeah, that's their high control. So absolutely, they have control over who goes where and who does what. Some members who lived, worked, and served at Bethel did so with their families. And that's something else. I'm just gonna say this right now. When you're there at the Kingdom Hall in the meeting and you're trying to picture like what Bethel is like, they constantly tell you that children are not allowed at Bethel, and I believe that this case is the reason why. But because they always say that children are not allowed at Bethel, you don't really think as a JW that children are undergoing a horrible life happening at Bethel with some of these charges that come up later. And it just brings to mind that, yes, there are people in Bethel that are suffering, and some of them are children, unfortunately. And these are the cases for the people that just got out and did their thing. They just got out, they went out and they did their thing, and it took them this long to get here because of the abuse, and it's so sad. Congregations are organized by circuit. Yep. The circuit overseer assists the elders in arriving at recommendations to the defendant Watchtower for appointment as ministerial servants and elders in a congregation. Prior to 2001, circuit overseers prepared reports regarding their visits to the congregations and submitting reports to Watchtower. Since April 2021, circuit overseers have submitted their reports to CCJW. The day-to-day operations of each congregation run by a body of elders. Women are not permitted to serve as elders. This is one that I don't understand why they get so much love about, that women are not allowed to serve as elders, because, man, I really thought that this, during like the 2010 eras, was going to be something that moved Watchtower, and I guess kind of it did from what we've seen today, with the amount of misogyny that exists in that organization, but also only one side of the human race, or sorry, of humans, sees the control that Watchtower puts on its people and says nothing about it, and that's the men. And honestly, I mean, I just want to know, kind of, if women were allowed to serve as elders, would CSA be such a big problem? Would it really be such a big problem? Because I just feel like that they hide so much shit with by closing their members' eyes to what their operations, what their leaders' operations are, and keep them shut out and silent, so these things end up happening. because no, everyone's told you don't question Jehovah's authority, you don't question who Jehovah puts in place, and then stuff like this happens. The responsibility of the elders include directing door-to-door preaching activities, selecting potential candidates for the position of ministerial servant or elders, which, by the way, even though these two people are supposed to be the ones that these shepherd a flock, these are supposed to help the shepherds of the flock, but in reality both of them don't care about their members. So what's the point of their positions? Organizations, weekly church meetings, selecting candidates for the position of publisher, handling finances for the congregation, and determining the guilt, repentance, and punishment of church members who commit wrong. Yes, this is what they dream of right here. This is their fucking wet dream right here. That they can do this, so their families can prosper the most in congregation, and everyone else, it doesn't matter. In order to be appointed as an elder, a person must be a ministerial servant in good standing, and it's just the more I read of how, according to the courts, Watchtower is supposed to work, the more upset I get, because I just honestly have to wonder, besides the good standing, because all it takes is word of mouth for someone to say, yeah, person so and so, he's a high leader. He said this person is really good. He's been an elder for many years. He's been a regular pioneer for almost as long as he's been an elder, and blah blah blah. This stuff leads to a lot of pain. It really does. When the local elders identify the candidate for the position of elder or circuit overseer, the candidate recommends the candidate to Watchtower. Watchtower governing body have the ultimate authority over the appointment of any candidate to the position of elder. In spring of 2001, CCJW took over Watchtower's responsibilities for the appointment of elders. CCJW also assumed the responsibility of Watchtower nominating, appointing, supervising, and disciplinary publishers, ministerial servants, pioneers, elders, and circuit overseers. CCJW assumed responsibilities described in paragraph 6 in order to evade liabilities of Watchtower for negligence in carrying these responsibilities. I'm going to read that again. CCJW assumed the responsibilities described in paragraph 61 in order to evade liabilities of Watchtower for negligence in carrying these responsibilities. So basically, Watchtower saw that they fucked up. Oh God, what do? We make a sub place and we put the responsibility in that subsection and we let it go. So we don't have to say that it reflects on us. That doesn't work. Watchtower, and mind you, they did this without literally checking the flock and seeing, hey, how many pedophiles are in here? Oh wait, it's a fucking lot of them, before they did this change. Baptized publishers who meet certain requirements may be appointed as ministerial servants. Ministerial servants serve the congregation in the aid and their elders' responsibility to take leadership positions in the absence of the elder. In order to appoint a ministerial servant, a person must be a publisher in good standing. Only males may serve as ministerial servants. The body of elders, the local congregation, identifies the potential candidates for position of ministerial servant. The body of elders, in concert with the circuit overseer, determines whether a potential candidate for ministerial servant is suitable and lives his life in accordance with the appropriate morals. They don't put in here about people having favorites. you know, there's nothing in here about favorites. It's literally just a person goes out. They say that they like how someone is. They pick them, and then they get submitted as a ministerial servant or an elder if they're already a ministerial servant. And that's the thing. They have no ways that they do checks for people. There's nothing that there's no way for that they have right now for them to do checks on people who they pick to be the leaders of the congregation. And not knowing who the intentions of the people that really lead you is very scary, because no one really gets to know them before they're appointed. It's after they're appointed that everyone is encouraged to go and be around this person and do things with this person and leave your children with this person, which you should never fucking do. 68 recommendations for the appointment of any individual in the position of ministerial servant made to the Watchtower. Watchtower governing body have the ultimate authority as to whether a candidate is elevated to the level of ministerial servant. Members in the Jehovah's Witness organization are strictly registered and monitored. Everyone has to go through this. Because literally when they say that you're sheep, they literally think of you as cattle. They don't care about you as a person anymore. A person can attend open meeting at the Kingdom Hall for years and not be a member of the congregation. Very true. An individual who wishes to become a member of Jehovah's Witness begin the process by engaging in a period Bible study with baptized members of the congregation along with self-study. After months of study, people may have become an unbaptized publisher. In order to become an unbaptized publisher, the aspirant must also apply to the congregation body of elders. Determine whether the aspirant exhibits significant knowledge of the benefits of the beliefs and organizations of the Jehovah's Witnesses to become a baptized publisher. The body of elders determines whether the morals and ethics in the aspirant meet Jehovah's Witnesses standards. Once people approve of an unbaptized publisher, he or she is authorized to represent the Jehovah's Witnesses in a specific congregation in the community. So once you're an unbaptized publisher, they kind of already got their cult tentacles around you and are pulling you down into their filth. An unbaptized publisher is authorized to engage in field service, which is the counterpiece of Jehovah's Witnesses making fundraising and recruiting activities. That's really hard for me to see that word. Field service involves door to door. Yeah, the torture of field service. But let's see here. By participating in field service, an unbaptized publisher is authorized by the congregation and by Jehovah's Witnesses to distribute Jehovah's Witness literature to members of the congregation of the community, to accept donations on behalf of the organization, to invite prospective members to the community, to attend open congregation meetings at the Kingdom Hall as a means of recruitment. This is something that I want to see Watchtower do. I don't know. I like how things are going on in the world right now. I really do think that they're getting ready to get their handed back to them. Norway, France, all these cases that I've seen recently in America, just in the American courts. I mean, it's not hard to find. It's not hard to find a Jehovah's Witness case in the courts and have it just be either domestic violence or CSA, and they're involved because they, I mean, really, I think that they create their own environment. I really do. I don't know how else to say this besides it's an echo chamber, and all the echo chamber seems to want to produce is criminals that like to go and hide and pretend like they're holy saints. That's it. And I think that Watchtower just built themselves up protecting these criminals. I mean, I really don't know. Good thing we have the courts here to watch them, though. Prior to April 2001, each publisher was instructed in the coordination as directed by defendant Watchtower on how to become a more effective at disseminating lecture, receiving donations, and enticing non-members to attend public congregation meetings and begin Bible study. This is another downside for Watchtower too. You built your community up so your community only cares about what it can do in the lives of other people instead of trying to help themselves. And it really shows, and it shows in a really bad way. Uh since April 2001, CCJW has assumed Watchtower's responsibilities for improving publishers' uh, pre- is that presentations? Yeah. Um. So yeah, that's where I guess if you know what a kingdom ministry is, if you were around that time, this is I guess this is where the kingdom ministry came from, the CCJW. Anyways, I do kind of want to just go through all this though. I really do, just to see like how much of it I already know, like all the stuff that I'm reading. Uh, Publisher must submit monthly records to congregations detailing their hours and spent in field service. Well, even if they still require that slip to be, I hear it's just a check mark now saying that you did something. Publishers must submit forms to a congregation secretary for each Bible study conducted at the publishers by the publishers during the month. Failure to submit field service records can lead to publisher being designated a as irregular or inactive, which results in lower status within the congregation. Immediately, it does. After additional study, and a baptized publisher may seek to become a baptized publisher. Baptism as one of Jehovah's Witnesses is considered an ordination as a minister of the Jehovah's Witnesses. To be approved for baptism, an applicant must test and be approved by elders of the local congregation. During the testing, the applicant is asked certain questions relating to the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses as well as the organizational structure of Jehovah's Witnesses. Baptized publishers may make a greater community by pledging to spend a specific number of hours in service for a period of time. Yes, send your children out with elders that you don't really know so they can do whatever with them that they want in the car while they're out in service. Uh, um, because I'm just saying that because that's what's been happening. That's literally what has been happening. Uh, let's see. Baptized publishers, pioneers, baptized publishers who have pledged to perform specific number of hours of service. That's what a pioneer. Auxiliary pioneer is a publisher who applies to congregation elders to perform a certain number of field service during a 1 month period of time. The elder's discretion at accept or reject application for auxiliary power, or sorry, for auxiliary pioneer. A pioneer is a baptized publisher who pledges to spend a specific number of hours in field service each month for 1 year. In order to become a regular pioneer, an applicant must gain the recommendations of the congregation elders, whom in turn submit the recommendation for approval to Watchtower. Watchtower has discretion to approve or reject the application of regular pioneers. Since April 2001, CCJW has assumed responsibilities for approving and rejecting applications for regular pioneers. Pioneers must submit a donation in control of the Jehovah's Witness organization. Pioneers submit to the domination, Dario, to the domination and control of Jehovah's Witness organization. Absolutely, they do. To give you some insight of what a pioneer does, basically they just go out in their cars, knock door to door, and talk to people all day. They are not, besides I guess maybe putting on their taxes, they don't have any like relief for gas. The organization gives them no money whatsoever for gas, no money to eat, no money to live, no money for nothing. They're just out there doing this because they want to, on the side of them having a job, or maybe they're disabled or they're senior, whatever. Basically, you submit your life to basically talking to strangers all the time and trying to get them to join your cult. The Jehovah's Witness organization monitors each publisher's field service and Bible study records, standardized methods to be used during proselytizing activities, provides only approved literature to be distributed during field service, directs where publishers will perform field service, controls access or to sought after positions, controls access to sought after positions as regular auxiliary pioneers, and determines appointments as ministerial servants and elders and overseers. Jehovah's Witness organization dictates the implements the Jehovah's Witnesses practice for shunning, which involves isolation and not interacting with members that have been disfellowshipped or have voluntarily left a church, which is me. I've voluntarily left a church and I've disassociated. Which they'll still announce that this person has been, I guess back then maybe they did it. I don't even know. I have no fucking clue what they have over there that they said about me when I left, but I did write a letter saying that I disassociate from the Jehovah's Witnesses and send that to Bethel. A publisher's personal grooming, appearance, and dress is regulated by his or her congregation. It absolutely is. And if someone in that congregation doesn't like the way that you dress, they will make sure, especially if it's an elder, they make sure that you're blacklisted as fast as they can possibly get you blacklisted in that congregation because of your dress. And they will they will sit there and they will demonize your appearance. 102, a publisher's use of alcohol, tobacco, or drugs is regulated by his her congregation. This is what I mean when I say that the elders control each publisher's life. They are in their bedrooms, they are in their medicine cabinets, they are in their showers, in their bathroom cabinets, in their bathrooms, in their bedrooms, in every room. They want to know what everyone does constantly all the time and tell them whether or not they're spiritual enough or not, while they're also off molesting children. A publisher's illegal sexual conduct such as child sexual abuse occurring away from Jehovah's Witness locations and event are subject to regulation and the imposition of punishment by the congregation. So this is what this says now. A publisher's legal sexual conduct is subjected to the regulation and the imposition of punishment by the congregation. So even if you go out and you're just, it's just you and your girl out there, and you're just out somewhere just making love, well, guess what? You got to be judged and damned by your congregation for no reason. And this is also what I mean. This statement, it's like a two-way road, but the road is wider for the pedophile and narrower for the victim. Because that's how Watchtower likes it. So when it says a publisher's illegal sexual conduct, such as child sex abuse occurring away from the Jehovah's Witness location and events, are subject to regulation and the imposition of the punishment by the congregation. So in other words, if these people know that you have committed an inappropriate sexual act with a child, that will result automatically in CSA because it's a child. They're saying that you don't have to report that to the police. It's up to the congregations. No, the law says you must report this stuff to the police, and Jehovah's Witnesses do not do that. And they make it a point not to do it, because I still believe they're hiding it. And this is what I mean, is that punishment by the congregation. Well, guess what? Guess who the congregation is? It's not the people in the congregation. And by the way, even if this does happen, the people in the congregation won't know, because the elders will not tell them. They'll keep it a secret. And basically, that person, if they are repentant and sorry, all they get is a slap on the wrist. You're publicly reproved, and go on about your day. That's all they get. That's it. There's no warning that this person has done this to a child. There's no warning about it. There's no call. There's no outcry. The child's outcry is automatically silent, because you must not bring reproach upon Jehovah's name. And then on top of that, it's hidden away, because I had to go through the same exact thing. I went to elder to elder to elder. I waited on Jehovah as I was told when I was a child. No one ever did anything about it. And as a matter of fact, once the 7 years for it passed, they sat in my face, they laughed at me, and they told me that no one would ever believe me, and that they have everything over me ever that they could, because of this happened to me. And they shamed me for it. They shamed me for being a victim of this. So I know that this imposition of punishment by congregation, it does not reach any sort of justice for the victim, because the victim is automatically silenced. And it's done so even if they're a child. They're told that, or at least when I was a kid and it happened, I was told that if I talked about it a lot or made a scene about it, that I would be kicked out. I wouldn't be allowed to talk to my family, and I wouldn't have a home, basically, if I had done that. So congregants are encouraged to bring problems to the elders to be resolved, and discouraged from seeking intervention from outside Jehovah's Witness organization. When the congregant commits an act of wrongdoing, such as sexual abuse of a child, the matter must be brought to an elder to be resolved. How can this be resolved? How can this be resolved? There's no resolved here. That child lost something to them that they will never have back. That was stolen from them by a piece of shit human that we call pedophiles. There's no fucking way that an elder can ever resolve this type of thing. There's no way. Jehovah's Witness policies require elders to investigate allegations of sexual abuse of a child. It's just questioning. All they do is just question. And it's not even for very long, because they don't want it to bring reproach upon Jehovah's name. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to defend children. It is the policy of Jehovah's Witness organization that if there are two witnesses to any alleged sexual abuse of a child, that a judicial committee will be convened. That's if it's two witnesses. If it's one witness, if the only witness is the child themselves, they're screwed. Nothing will happen. Nothing will come up. Life will just go on as if it never happened, and that child's just sitting there broken. And then one day they wonder why the child self-deleted or went up and did something ridiculous, caused a scene, or maybe even, I hate to say it, but maybe even get some people killed from it because their abuse was covered up, silenced. They had that watchtower's hand over their mouth as a child. They grew up with their hand over their mouth, and now that child forgets how to speak. And, well, you know what? They're just anyone's game for whoever finds them. It is the policy of the Jehovah's Witnesses. That's also another thing. The elders and Jehovah's Witnesses, they're not going to assist children that have gone through sexual abuse, that have had a judicial committee. They're not going to sit there and say, okay, well, we got to make sure you get your therapy so you'll be okay after this horrific event. They don't care about any of that. They really don't. And it's such an injustice to the children that are told constantly that you are loved, you're in a loving place. Jehovah shepherds his flock. He loves everyone, and you're a child of Jehovah. No harm can ever come to you. Yeah, right. And the other one that I've heard so much, nothing bad can ever happen in Jehovah's Kingdom Hall. Yeah, right. It is a policy of the Jehovah's Witness organization that if there are I've already read this. This is also a huge injustice to that child. It really is. 2 witness roles sounds really good until there aren't two witnesses, and you need 2 witnesses to prove that this happened. This means that you need 2 other people there to see you getting abused. Like, they're not going to do that. They never do. They lock you away in a room. They hush you up. They make sure you can't be silent. They do their thing with you, and then they threaten you, and then somehow they mentally keep their grasp on you as you go through life. And so many people have to suffer this because of a 2-witness rule that they have. Well, if we don't say it's bad, then it's not bad, so it doesn't matter that this child's life has been destroyed. If a judicial committee is convened to investigate the allegations of sexual abuse of a child, the 2 original elders who investigated the wrongdoing will be joined by a 3rd elder who will hear the case and impose punishment upon the wrongdoer. Again, I'm going to say why there's no punishment for the wrongdoer, really. The wrongdoer gets the protection of the congregation. The wrongdoer gets the protection of the elders. The wrongdoer gets the protection of Jehovah's organization, while the victim is told if they ever say anything that they will be damned and thrown to death for apostasy for speaking against Jehovah's organization. Meanwhile, these 3 elders in the room with this perpetrator, who they know is already a piece of shit, but they're going to use them anyway, could probably go through some punishment, maybe get a couple blackmail cases from the elders to give him some money or something, continue to go through his punishment, maybe work his way up, maybe go back to being a regular publisher, maybe even a ministerial servant, and then maybe even an elder. And then this person who committed this horrible crime is now encouraged to be around, because this happens. These people that do this crime become elders later on. They really do. And it's so stupid how just the legal system doesn't see it. And how actually people that go out and actually have had things done to them don't bring it out. I feel like they don't bring it out enough. That when people, it's because they see them as quote unquote repentant. So when they are pushed up by the congregation to, oh, keep on going for Jehovah. You got it. You'll be okay. These people have no clue what this person has done. And then suddenly this person is leading these people. And that's supposed to be impose punishment for the wrongdoer. What kind of punishment is that, really? Because I've heard of too many situations where where sexual predators have been promoted to being elders in congregations, and then, they get to be alone with little Timmy or little Sarah, and so they know, oh, well, we can keep them spiritual and keep them here for the rest of their lives by sexually abusing them and destroying their mental capacities. Potential punishment for sexual abuse of a child include private reproof, public reproof, and disfellowshipping. So, like I said, you're only going to get one of three options here. Nothing will happen to this person in a judicial way unless the victim goes and says something, which they'll be damned by the congregation for doing. So really, this victim has just made this place their home and garden that they can always fall back on, and, oh, I was so wrong for doing that, oh, woe is me, but no punishment ever comes to them. Okay. Private reproof in the Jehovah's Witness organization means private censorship of the wrongdoer is that generally results in the limitation of privileges to engage in full service for a short period of time. The congregation is not informed when an individual is subject to private reproof. In the Jehovah's Witness organization, public reproof means an announcement is made to the congregation that the individual has been reproved by a judicial committee and found to be repentant. Disfellowship is the expulsion of the Jehovah's Witness organization when an individual is disfellowshipped, which now they changed that word, so it doesn't matter. That's what Watchtower loves to do. Instead of, going up and facing what they put on themselves, they just change the wording, and, oh, it's okay, it doesn't matter. When an individual is disfellowshipped and announcement is made to a congregation and he or she is no longer of one of Jehovah's Witnesses. When an individual is disfellowshipped, the congregation is not informed by any acts of wrongdoing, or if the basis of the person's expulsion from the Jehovah's Witness organization. Let me read that again. When an individual is disfellowshipped by the congregation, when the individual is disfellowshipped, the congregation is not informed for any acts of wrongdoing or of the basis of the person's expulsion from the Jehovah's Witness organization. A person who is disfellowshipped may seek a reinstatement to the congregation by written request to the elders. At all times prior to April 2001, Watchtower operated the Service Department of the United States branch of Jehovah's Witnesses. Though the Service Department, Watchtower implemented the policies and procedures promulgated by governing body. Watchtower exercised control over the day-to-day operations and activities of local congregations. When they say day-to-day activities, they mean day-to-day life, like what you actually are doing in your house. I'm serious about that, 100%. Prior to April 2001, Watchtower publishes a series of hard books that were distributed to elders. Those aforesaid handbooks are not disclosed to other Jehovah's Witnesses. Shepherding of the Flock book are not disclosed to other Jehovah's Witnesses or the public. The aforesaid handbooks provide general instructions to elders regarding day-to-day administration of organization. The aforesaid handbooks provide instructions to elders regarding how to respond to allegations of wrongdoing, including child molester. The Upperhead handbooks specified their actions, the actions elders were required to take upon learning of child molestation within the congregation. Prior to April 2001, Watchtower provided periodic instructions to local congregations to through letters addressed to the body of elders. Okay, so I've read what they do in these handbooks. It's just one of the three options that are up here, and you know they'll just be told that they're being watched, but they're in Watchtower, so they're being watched anyway. So what difference does it make? When they were being watched, this stuff was allowed to happen when they were being watched. So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna spy more? Is that what you do to keep them from doing this? I don't think that works because it hasn't worked. It has not worked. Okay, I've said letters covered from broad spectrum of topics ranging from standardizing the record keeping practices of all congregations. What record keeping when they just destroy all evidence of people who do horrible things like CSA. Sorry, I was record keeping practices of all congregations, establishing procedures for ordering lectures from defendant, Watchtower, remitting payments, handling administrative and procedural matters involving day-to-day congregation operations. Some of the aforesaid letters provided specific instructions on how to respond to wrongdoing within the congregation, including child molestation. CCJW assumed responsibility for disseminating some of these letters or on or after April of 2001. Watchtower, through its right department, and prior to April 2001, through the service department, researches, writes, approves, publishes, and distributes its own material for distribution to actual and prospective Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, this is reviewed. Okay. This is just some of the same stuff. Okay, Watchtower received and maintained records regarding the fellowship or reproof of elders and ministerial servants. So, Watchtower establishes procedures for the discipline of members accused of wrongdoing. Watchtower receives and maintains. Okay, yeah. In March of 1997, Watchtower disseminated a letter to all the bodies of elders in the United States. Congregations seeking information on men who then served and had previously served in any position, elder, minister, servant, regular, pioneer, and were also known to have engaged in child molestation. Watchtower required each congregation to prepare reports detailing instances of child molestation and to return the reports to Watchtower Service Department. In July of 1998, defendant Watchtower sent a follow-up letter to each United States congregation reminding those bodies of elders of the need to send the reports to possible legal consequences to appointing a known child molester in position of trust, such as an elder or ministerial servant. You think that there wouldn't be legal consequences to this, but you still do it? It's still happening. It's still happening. Predators are still going into the Jehovah's Witnesses, masking themselves with it, disappearing, hurting children, And then they just pop up in different congregations because Watchtower sends them everywhere. So they can do different things, so they can never be found, so Watchtower can never be sued for what they did under their rules. I mean, really. Reports regarding the sexual abuse of children were received by the service department and kept by the defendants, Watchtower and governing body. Prior to receiving the written reports, Watchtower and governing body were aware the child molestation by elders, ministerial servants, and publishers was a problem within the congregation. This was in 1997. Despite receiving the written reports, Watchtower and governing body did not promulgate a new or effective policies for preventing or responding to child molestation. Let's just ignore it and pretend it's not there. Despite receiving the written reports, Watchtower and governing body did not implement procedures or policies to educate children or adult members of the risk of child molestation within the Jehovah's Witness organization, how to identify warning signs of molestation, and how to avoid dangerous situations. They never will. I feel like that they never will. If they do, they have to change their whole rule system because of how it's set up. I mean, this is stated in a court document that they do not do this. And they still, up to date, are not doing it. CCJW assumed operation of a service department and gained position and knowledge of the molestation reports, and also received new reports of molestation by Jehovah's Witnesses. Reports of sexual molestation continued to be sent to CCJW. A policy letter from July 1989 required elders to contact defendant Watchtower legal department about child abuse instead of contacting the police. There it is. That's the thing I've been saying so long. They built their organization telling people to not follow the law. It's what they did. Watchtower and governing body left, and it's obvious that any time before this was still this right here was the contact, like before 1989, and I guess after 1989 too, because it's still not a rule. Contact defendant Watchtower legal departments about child abuse instead of contacting the police. This is the thing that they are so like gun-ho to shove down people's throats as soon as they meet them, because the attacks of Satan's world, we have to keep our members safe from Satan's evil world while we hide all these pedophiles in here. Watchtower and governing body left that policy intact even after receiving written reports of molestation. So written reports, I'm guessing it's got to be reports from the parents when they figured out that, hey, these elders are not right, or members of the congregation that figured out, hey, these elders are not right, what the hell's going on here. Watchtower Service Department has never made a mandated child abuse report to law enforcement. L. Huge, big letter L for Watchtower. And this is how they pride themselves on being the safest organization and the best organization and the most loving organization, because if bad stuff happens and we never reported, we can say it didn't happen. And we don't have to worry about it. Fuck you, Watchtower. The policies on child molestation promulgated by Watchtower and governing body through the secret elder handbooks and confidential policies letters were not divulged to Jehovah's Witness members. No, they're not. And I don't think that they still are, from what I've been hearing. So these secret handbooks are literally secret handbooks. Okay? That's what they are. They're meant to be kept away from the other members. Regular members should never see this book. They should never hear about this book, even though their whole life is basically ran by this book. And massive amount of damage that this book has done to people within Jehovah's Witness organization, because it's the book of the roles that they're forced to live under, even though they're told that the Bible is that. And yes, I also think that the Bible is an evil book. I don't think the Bible is a holy book. I think of it as an evil book. So these secret handbooks, that they're secret. That's what they are. Because they have to keep their members locked up. They have to, keep them in the dark and feed them bullshit. So they'll keep on loving Jehovah's organization. Through this mandated secrecy regarding child molestation by elders, ministerial servants, and publishers, Watchtower and government body intentionally concealed the threat of child molestation within the Jehovah's Witnesses from their members through policies of non-reporting to law enforcement and non-cooperation with criminal child molestation investigations. Defendants, Watchtower, and governing body protected accused and admitted child molesters from criminal prosecutions and thereby increased the risk of molestations to minors. There it is. It's 61 minutes into the video. There it is. All family and friends who say, oh, you're wrong, you went against Jehovah, you deserve to die now. This is why I'm no longer in your organization. This is why. Because it is right here. Defendants, Watchtower, and governing body protected accused and admitted child molesters from criminal prosecution and thereby increased the risk of molestation to minors. So yes, Watchtower is farming pedophiles. I guess maybe to farm whatever terror they can release on a child, and I guess get whatever bonuses they get from that horrific shit. There it is, folks. 154. I'm going to link this docket on the thing, on the description. This is the proof. This is the proof, Mom and Dad. This is the proof of what I have been trying to tell you for so long, and you have refused to listen to. It's in a court document. It is proof. Okay. Alright, I think I might stop this here because it's already an hour. I don't want to have like a 4-hour video. So I'll just stop this here for today.